Jack's back. We'll use that clock so we can keep track of the time. I'd like to open the public hearing for Resolution 2021-07, Auburn, AUB 2021-01. Okay, I see Dave Dietrich is here, and another member of the board. One thing I want to start out with is, first I'm going to look at, there are some recommendations from the county. Just want to see if either of you have any objections to those. One was Article 1, Title and Enactment, page 3. Item CC, recommend changing format to 23, spelled out in parentheses 23, close parentheses, feet. Yes, it's okay? Okay. All right, then the second item they had for this one was, same thing, format change, 1,200 parentheses square feet. No problems with that?
No problem.
Okay, we're gonna implement these unless anybody has any objections, Fred, all right?
Okay.
Okay, Article 4. R1 District main uses recommended adding license before residential facilities. Now I saw that was actually in there, so we're good on that one. Third one was a couple little, those, yeah, not a problem. They're just typographicals, a couple extraneous half zeros. Recommended adding back the footnote numbering at the bottom of Schedule 4 on page 4. That was done, it appears. Okay, so all those were implemented. We'll have those as part of it. I see some notes here from the Zoning Commission recommendations from 3/15. Article 4, page 2. Remove this section as repetitive. Same language is included in Article 5.05. You concur with that? All right, we'll make that as part of what we're voting on. 2, approval recommended PC suggestions and ZC modifications.
Oh, just, yeah, they voted to approve it with the planning commission suggestions and the zoning commission
And
modifications.
those modifications.
Okay. All right, any comments then, gentlemen? Ladies? Anyone? Okay. DJ?
Yeah, I really don't. That one's pretty straightforward. You know, we've, with Mr. Dietrich on staff, I think we're between the white lines for sure here.
Okay.
And it's not extensive, any of these, the planning commission or the zoning commission's modifications, none of them change the
Well, I see everything
spirit
pretty
of
much seems
anything.
to be,
Yeah, that's, I don't want to say those are insignificant changes, but they're, well, they're edits that are,
well,
Within
even if
the
it's just
spirit of what we're doing
a
here.
clerical issue or something.
yeah.
I want to get as much of this down pat as we can. There's no, and so we can get this thing moving. And
I feel like,
the
you know,
limited, minimal amount of changes
Yeah,
afterwards.
you know, let's look for some public comment here, and this one I think we could act on tonight. I'd be comfortable acting on this one tonight, though there's, as you see with 03, there's quite a bit there that I'm getting ahead of myself here, but.
Well, I think what we can do is, are there any additional comments on this particular amendment, or this part of the amendment? If there aren't, I'd say we close the public hearing for AB 2021-01.
I'll second.
Open the meeting for.
I'll
AB
second closing the public hearing for 01.
Okay.
John with us yet? John?
Yes, I say yes.
PJ?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes. Okay, then I'd like to open the public hearing for zoning amendment AUB 2021-02. I suppose theoretically, yeah. Point of order, we should have to wait till 10 after. Which, in actuality, it is 10 after in real time.
Okay.
So, we can go ahead with that.
It is.
All right. So, resolution 2021-02. We had under Article 2 definitions, and then maybe just go to the commission notes first. Where'd you go, you? Okay. Keep recreational facilities and definition of public facilities. See recommendations under Article 4A. Approval recommended with PC and ZC modifications. Okay, yes, there's one thing I was looking at in there.
Yeah, just to expand on that a little bit, there was a question that came from the county about reviewing the difference between public facilities, how they're treated as opposed to private recreational facilities. And we had, the commission had a long discussion, not a long discussion, but an in-depth discussion with Mr. Dietrich on that point. And it was felt that we should keep recreational facilities in that particular definition.
Just keep the original definition where it defines public and private.
Yeah,
So, basically the change was originally remove public and just have private.
right.
So what we're gonna do is go back to, as it was, public and private, under the definition of recreational facilities.
The commission was looking for like a standalone definition for,
They were looking for a standalone definition once they pulled the public out and had just private in there. Because that left the public hanging then, so, but I mean, it's just a definition of recreational facilities. Does, as the definition's written throughout the remainder of the resolution, is there any problem with leaving it the way it is? Or the way it was?
Yeah. So their edit was, if you go to page 15 from the zoning commission, they're saying that, yes, we can take out meeting halls, yes, we can take out excluding right of way, but we should probably leave in recreational facility under public facilities.
But does the definition of, as it's written, fit into that paragraph then? Is there any problem with the definition of, again, recreational facility, that definition being public or private?
Let's see. Recreational facility.
well,
It would be public or privately owned
Yeah.
facilities for consistency's sake.
Okay, so for consistency's sake, we leave it the way it was,
Yes, in that, on page 16, yes.
and that makes sense.
yeah, a private recreation facility would be not open to the public, right? So,
Right.
Public also infers that it's run by a governmental
it does,
entity
it does.
of some sort, or a political subdivision of the state. So,
Dave, I'll admit to being guilty, and I don't know a thing about Reed versus the town of Gilbert, Arizona, so.
Well, I'm not an attorney either, but that was again, a US Supreme Court case. I don't remember when it was determined, it's been a few years, but essentially related, for the most part, to temporary signage. That was a significant part of it. And quite frankly, I think you're okay with what you have in your book, because we did ensure that this was reviewed by the prosecutor's office. So I did not pick up on anything regarding signage from the prosecutor's office that would lead back to changes that we may need to make regarding that case. So I think we can stand pat essentially with what we've got. Again, I don't think we're really seeing any difficulties in regards to what you have in your book or what has been proposed in relationship to that US Supreme Court case.
Okay, good.
Well, on the planning commission's recommendation, that was that that decision be reviewed, and it sounds like between our commission,
As reviewed.
Dave, it's been reviewed, yeah. Any comment from the public on 2021-02? Once again, this one's much like the First Amendment. It's these minor changes that have been pretty thoroughly hashed out, and I feel like this is another one that we could take some action on.
Okay. All right. No further questions. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for AUB 2021-02.
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. We got 2 minutes.
We misjudged that one.
Hmm?
I guess we misjudged that one by 2 minutes. Okay, open the public hearing for resolution number AB 2021-03.
The only comment that I saw from the county was to remove footnote 7. Just a notation for it, which is coincide with the fact that we removed footnote 7, so it doesn't belong there anymore. Dave, do you want to go through just the changes that are on your recommendations? Only because there's so many on there, I think it'd be quicker if you were to just brief us on them.
That comes from the commission, this comes from
Yeah.
Todd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'd like to defer to the chair if I
Yeah.
could,
Okay.
Mike, because most of these came from the zoning commission, yes.
All right, you wanna enlighten us on those changes?
So, on page 6, we talk about, public facilities. This goes back to the definition, making sure we had both, public and private, so we could determine between the two. And then later on, it does talk about, the public facilities being permitted across. Just going to page 6 real quick. So there was confusion, we thought that cleaned up the confusion between public and private facilities, so there's no longer that confusion left.
Right.
Okay.
Try to go in order, so we can. So the one on page 5 was just to add to the footnote. And then part of the definition in Article 2, and change the such as to include but not limited to.
Okay.
And which way it changed on page 5, also dwelling unit. Permitted in B1A and B2. So right now they're set as conditional, and when we reviewed, we didn't see any
Right.
conditions that we could put around that would cause us, or to think of reasons that the township would want to have somebody have to get a conditional use for a dwelling unit in those areas.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, the residential was permitted in there for a number of years. I think it was taken out, what, maybe 20 years ago, Dave?
Approximately, yeah. I think
Probably.
Early, like '02,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe.
And with that one, there's no conditions in the book that are around it that we're removing, so it's changing the labeling. And then page 5 again. I just gotta get my correct. Yep. For the under the retail and completely enclosed buildings, we wanted to keep the note, enclosed building.
Okay, that's a typo then, that's retail, not retained.
Yeah, it should be retail.
Okay.
That makes a lot more sense now.
Retail and enclosed buildings.
And then we also then changed it to permitted in the office, light industrial, so in the B4. and conditional in I-1. I think that's supposed to be, yeah, so when we reviewed retail businesses, we felt they should be available in retail, and because they're enclosed buildings, into the light industrial area to service those areas, and then general industrial, which could be conditional, conditions set to come.
Mr. Chairman, that may, the conditional in an I-1 may be wrong because retail is under general business and general business is a permitted use in an I-1 district already. So how can you make it a conditional use when it is already a permitted use? You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
General business is permitted in an I-1 district, so I don't think we can make it conditional. Because that sentence is retail and enclosed buildings is what we're talking about, not retained, right?
Right.
Right.
So what I'm saying is retail is already permitted in I-1,
Therefore, it should be,
so it shouldn't be made conditional because it's already permitted. You understand what I'm saying? Because under our resolution, what is permitted, B1 is general business, retail falls under general business, therefore it is allowed in I-1 because anything that's allowed in a B1 is allowed in I-1 except residential. You follow me?
well, Scott, what do you think on that?
Yeah, so before it didn't have anything, so it was not permitted under, but you're saying so there was a footnote before that was, I have to look it up. Districts permitted main and conditional uses are allowed in I-1 districts except that dwellings are prohibited.
Right.
Right, and ultimately, we think that should be removed. Couldn't find anywhere that links those two together, that you couldn't separate the two. So it's partly around, we think eventually that should be removed. Now, maybe we have to bring it when that's brought forth. I can't remember if it made it into this version, to remove that note. Yeah, it's not in this version, but we did discuss that there was nothing that would held those two together, and going forward, that wasn't it. So the idea was to remove B1 automatically gives you, so the district's permitted main and conditional uses allow into I-1. So from P1 you get to I-1 automatically.
So we just strike the conditional in I-1?
Yeah, because, like I said, it's the way our present resolution
Got
is
that?
written.
We're doing, Fred?
Yeah,
Am I correct, Mr. Dietrich?
You are, because otherwise we'd have a conflict with that.
Right, that's what I'm saying. If we put this in, we'll have a conflict.
Yep.
Okay, we'll just strike conditional in I-1.
so it'll be permitted.
Yeah, because it is permitted.
The issue that I'm seeing is that if you go down to 11 general businesses on that schedule, there's a proposed change of not permitting general businesses in I-1. at least in the copy that I have.
What is that, Fred?
Over here, 11. If you go to general businesses all the way over, there's a highlighted proposed change to not permit general businesses in I-1.
Okay. Then to make it correspond, I would recommend changing that back to permitted.
Okay?
It's in the Tories for.
Okay, Scott, item 5.
Todd?
Todd?
Yep. 5, the drive-through facilities, permitted into I-1.
Okay. 6.
Restaurants, I'm just looking from here, we're permitted into I-1 as well.
Okay, and I'll just keep going with that. 7 is business as general, permitted in B4. P5, C13, child daycare. Not permitted in B2, village retail.
Correct. We believe that there wasn't enough space in that area and it should be kept for retail. There's close enough facilities if somebody wanted to use it or other land types, but that should be reserved for retail.
Okay. Well, I just want to get these on the table to see if anybody has any objections or comments, because we're running out of time here. Bed and breakfast permitted in B1, A and B2.
Correct. We've reviewed for any certain conditions we'd want to establish and felt that we couldn't establish recommended conditions, so we made them permitted.
Okay. Auto sales conditional in B3 and B4.
Currently, they're not a permitted use, right?
Let's see.
Correct. Or will they,
Okay.
they won't be
Well-
after these changes are made.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, in 11 and 12, that's getting back into the issue of public and private recreation facilities.
Correct.
So basically, recreation facilities then are permitted in all districts. Okay, then parking requirements, hospitals. Not permitted in B3 and I1. Remove both from both for consistency. Self-storage not permitted in B3, again, removed for consistency. Okay, now, anybody have any objections to or comments on the changes that we just discussed?
Todd, I seem to recall a discussion about bed and breakfast conditions as a separate amendment. Do you remember that? It didn't make it into this.
Right.
But I thought that the zoning commission previously reviewed conditions that would go with B and B.
So we do have, after this conditional, anything that was conditional, conditions to follow for B and others. Well, I take that back. So bed and breakfast specifically, you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, so on February 11th, we reviewed our final recommendation around that and did not put conditions on bed and breakfast on February 11th. That was the last time we reviewed any. We had been working on different conditions across multiple of these, and ultimately removed conditions of bed and breakfast into those two areas, but they're not permitted any further.
Okay, well, we've got bed and breakfast now are not permitted in B1, B3, B4, and I1. And the schedule shows them as conditional in B1A and B2.
Currently.
Are we recommending that we go with that, or?
Well, I was just a little confused on it, quite frankly, because I thought that the zoning commission had talked about conditions, and then Todd just clarified that. But let me say additionally, most townships do classify that use as conditional.
Okay,
So if we do leave it as is, we want to revisit the conditions, I guess
well,
is what
like
I'm
I said,
saying.
what I wanna do is to get this thing moving.
Yeah,
If we take the 40 pages of stuff I have here
yeah,
and we get it corrected, and there's 3 lines that still have to be worked on, I think we're a lot farther ahead of the game
yes.
than holding everything that's in here, which is what, you know, again, that's what we're trying to do, is to understand these things. The resolution is always gonna be in a state of flux. Anything we decide right now, something could be happening out there right now that's gonna force us to change it. But I wanna get as much of it correct as possible, which then leaves smaller bites that we can all work on.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'd like to see what this schedule looks like with these changes, for one thing. And, you know, throw it open for any comment from the public, Mike, but I think it'd be in our best interest to continue this public hearing until everything's hashed out here. If there's confusion, I would not be closing on anything. I would not be closing the public hearing tonight. So that's my suggestion.
Okay.
So, you know, I'll throw it open for any
Well,
public.
just a matter of course here, we've got 3 public hearings, 2 of which we already closed.
2 of us are already closed, so we can start on those. I don't believe that throws anything off. I don't think there would be any enforcement issue. There'd be, you know, the 2, if we vote on tonight, well, we already closed public hearings, so if we don't vote on them tonight, we have to vote on them at the next meeting.
Okay.
This one I'd like to work through some more.
Well, what I'd like to do is to have, get all these changes implemented, get us copies of it prior to the next meeting so we have a chance to review it. And then we can have a continuation of the public hearing at the next meeting.
It's up to you. If we do that and everything seems to be worked through. and
I
they-
think that's a good suggestion because there's so much in here.
Yeah, there's a lot here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd wanna see it all put in, because it's just gonna be too easy to miss something, or something doesn't get put in.
I mean, we can, per, you know, the schedule, how this works, we can vote on all 3 of them next week if you feel like we can get these changes implemented and, you know, we could
Well, I think
reopen the public hearing in 2 weeks on 03,
Okay,
close it, and vote on all 3 of them in a row, or we can vote on the other 2 tonight.
okay,
First 2 tonight. Either,
I'll go with that, I think it's a good suggestion.
would there be any issue with voting on 1 and 2 tonight? Okay. All right, I think, I'm gonna make a motion that we continue this to, what is it, gonna be the 19th? Maybe it's 7:15?
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, I'll second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes. Okay, so before we start the actual trustees meeting, Todd, would you like to lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to
The flag
of
the United States of America,
States of America.
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Okay. So we have, minute approval from the regular meeting of March 15th. Any comments or changes?
Thought they looked acceptable. I'll make a motion to approve.
A second?
John,
Yes.
TJ,
Yes.
Mike?
Yes. Okay, scheduled reports, Emmerich Gordon.
No volume.
Hey, Emmerich, if you can hear us, your mute button is on. Unmute yourself. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Got it, okay. Alright, March 2021. Looking back at the amount of salt that we used, actually March, this year we had no events that required any type of plowing or salting, which is unusual. I think that's only the fourth time in the last 15 years or so that we didn't have snow in March. We did use 20 ton here in April. Hopefully that the weather's turned and we're into our spring now. For the year, we used 1,554, which is about 200 tons less than typical of 1,736 tons. I did get a copy of a letter from Compass Minerals in my box there, and it does talk about securing the balance of our salt in the contract by April 30th. So Fred and I, he already got the PO for me, so we'll be ordering that this week. We get that in the dome. Right now I have about 550 tons in the dome. We get the balance of around 1,400 tons. That'll give us an entire season's worth back in the dome again. And once again, at the price here, I think that's great that we filled that up. And that is with purchasing the 10% over there we're allowed to purchase. And for the month, primarily, we just worked on the roads with the cold patch and some berm repair. We did have one full burial, and we did have one urn burial as well. PJ, you and I talked. The well did go in up at the park.
Yep.
And I think we're pumping, what was that, 120 gallons per minute up there?
It's a good well. The original guy we contracted with ended up subbing it out, which I think explains some of the delay. But yeah, that's a good well. What were we down there, 100 feet? What was it?
Yeah, we're down to 75, if I remember.
Okay. Yeah, we've got
Yeah, at 120 gallon per minute, so that's a good amount of water coming out there.
Right.
So this coming week here, we should have the electric up there, and then they are going to start working and getting into the building there with the plumbing for that well. And then I believe the restoration, that's something we're gonna have to talk about and work on here to get the sidewalk and the floor of the inside of the garage repaired once they're gone. That wasn't part of the contract, I believe, with those guys. And then as far as resolutions to order, you guys have that there. And then we get that done, and I believe the opening for the bids would be on April 23rd at a Friday noon meeting. So yeah, I'll be there for that one on April 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all I got, guys.
Okay, Emmerich, I got something for you.
Yes, sir.
We received our new concrete saw.
Yes.
Okay. Our old saw, do we have any use for that now?
No, sir, we don't.
Okay. Would you put the value of that over 2,500 or under 2,500?
Under 2,500.
Okay. All right. Manaway Township is interested in purchasing that from us. They've offered $500. If the board establishes that the value of this item is less than $2,500, we can then just directly sell it to Manaway for $500 without having to do any advertising or anything else.
Yeah, not a problem. Yeah, we did have some discussion with them. I know Mike Ludwig did as well. So yeah, that 500 is fine. That suits me fine. We had that unit, boy, over 20 years, I do believe, somewhere close to 20 years. So we got our use out of it.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to establish the value of the old concrete saw at less than $2,500.
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. And then I would like to make a motion to go ahead and sell that to Manaway Township for $500.
I'll second that.
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. I said, yeah, talking to Mr. Eberly, and he concurs that it's a good thing that, we got something we don't need and we can help out one of our neighbors and they can use them on projects, because we work on many projects together. It's just a kind of a win-win for everybody. Okay, anything else for Mr. Gordon? All right, Frank Kicko, zoning inspector, long time no see, welcome back, Frank.
Okay, you should all have copies of activities for March. We processed 25 applications. If you notice there, we will be entertaining 6, maybe 7 conditional use or variances next Tuesday night. Several of them are for the neighbor to the west of us, but we've been pretty busy, even though with the pandemic and everything, there's still a lot of activity going on, so we'll see what happens with these 6. That's all I have.
All righty, any questions for Frank? All right. Mr. Everly?
Yes, sir. I think Mr. Gordon handled everything. Everything's moving along real good. We get these prices in here at the end of the month, and we have a rather ambitious list of road projects.
Okay. Mr. Kavanaugh?
Okay, I went to the Health District Advisory Council meeting. Was it last week? I don't know, it's the end of March.
I was there.
You were virtual.
Virtual. Nobody could hear me though, I was trying to make some comments.
I gotta say, after going to that hearing, we owe Nancy almost a round of applause by how these meetings run compared to that one. So, technology's out there, but everybody hasn't quite mastered it yet.
Yeah, you're like an expert compared to what's
Honestly,
going on there.
honestly, well, you noticed that too, then, yeah.
At least Skip got to ask us one question
Of everyone.
and have everybody answer this.
New member of Board of Health, young lady from Newbury, original resident, and she's back, and I believe she's I know she works at Geauga Hospital. I think she's a pharmacologist, but I can't remember exactly. But she touched on, in her 5 minutes, she touched on damn near everything the health district gets into, from wastewater treatment all the way to Amish birthing centers.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive.
She was impressive, yes, she was. And good to see some younger people get some of these positions now, too. There will be no assessments. The budget, as you might suspect, for Geauga County, every public health agency, probably across the country, if not the world, is
Well, they're getting a bunch of money.
a little bit larger than it used to be. But what's come in has been, it's going out through the pandemic nonsense. So everything else is pretty much steady as she goes. For permits that guys like Frank's right in here, if there's expansion to sewer system, water treatment systems, it's all washing out. but the budget increase is as you might expect. Okay, Nancy and I kind of worked through a tentative schedule for Memorial Day. What we're thinking, because it would simplify things, Chief and I were talking about it a bit too. We're thinking about skipping the parade. I'd kind of like to do the reading of the names here. Of course, there's two big variables. One is the weather, and the other one is these stupid things. I'd like to get back to as normal as it used to be, as we can. Do the reading of the names here, just start the ceremony here at 9 a.m. Go to the other cemetery, to Shady Side. That was always approximately 10. They have a speaker. Not gonna do the museum. I can't see any way to.
It's hard to socially distance.
Yeah, I can't see any way to do it. I just, I'd like I said, I'd like to get back to the schedule we had for so many years. And the other variable is the weather. We're gonna make some initial contacts to get music. We had the trumpeter and we had the soloist for through the high school, if that's still available. Of course, we haven't had the band for years. Had some discussion about putting out a tent with some refreshments at Shady Side. Not sure how that's gonna work. I would certainly talk to the neighboring property owners there, Patsy, LaRue's garage, and see if we could use that corner.
If you want to consider using Adam Hall,
Well, that's the variable.
just as, just for weather. If the weather's bad, then we can.
We did that, if you remember, Mike, in short order for a week. They were calling for big storms to roll through Sunday morning. And, it was almost an emergency thing. We moved the whole thing up to Adam Hall that morning just because that forecast was so solid. And that did work. So I guess in lieu of doing the two cemeteries, if we had that was our plan B, was to do the whole thing at Adam Hall, I think probably we ought to plan for both of them. And we'll make the call.
Yeah, we'll make the call, yeah. I'd go with that, because we have to keep that ceremony going in some form.
We do.
If we can't have it in the full traditional form, we should still have something. We have enough room there, and I think for the amount of people we normally have, we can distance the chairs up there enough to, even if we have to, limit it to, well, let's see how many people we can get in distancing the chairs 6 foot.
Yeah, we had, during that time, the year we had the big storm up there, I'm gonna say 120 in there. Nowadays, that would look like a crowd.
Yeah.
Then it didn't.
Yeah, back then it was looking pretty
Yeah.
open, but yeah, we have to.
I don't see any reason why we can't kind of have, here's plan A, and plan B is we'll just have the chairs set up and we'll move everything into Adam. We'll watch the weather and we'll just try to be ready. But it's a move back towards normal.
Okay.
I'm happy to see it. Okay, so we'll work out 2 different agendas and we'll have them both ready to go. I guess we would, the difference would be, Nancy, is we would probably want the sheriff to shut some traffic down maybe, if we're at Shady Side. Maybe, yeah?
Yeah.
Probably. But we wouldn't have to do that at Adam Hall.
Yeah, just enough to.
10 minutes while we're doing, all we do there is, it's a short program. It's 20
Yeah, I mean,
minutes.
just
It's 20
for the-
minutes up there, yeah. Yeah, it's 20 minutes up there. I think we could reroute, ask the sheriff to reroute traffic for 20 minutes. That,
Yes.
Okay, so
Bring a couple fire trucks up there and put them across.
well, some variables will make
Now,
it
we'll
work.
be up there,
Yeah, we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
Okay.
That's about it.
Fred?
The only thing I have is a payment report. You have in front of you warrants 6307 through 6322, totaling $19,450.67. That's it.
Okay. Okay. Any updates on the bond financing?
I was in contact with bond counsel last week. They're preparing a resolution for you guys to authorize the pursuit of the refinancing, and been in some communication with the refunding company, the refinancing company. Just getting our ducks in a row as far as figuring out dates that we want to hit, goals that we want to hit moving along.
Okay. So the amendments we have taken care of.
Well, you want to vote on them?
We can do
I
that.
think we should. Okay, AUB 2021-01. Gonna make a motion, we adopt that with the modifications.
I'll second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
AUB 2021-02. I'm gonna make a motion that, that one we adopt with the modifications discussed.
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike.
Yes. Okay, under new business, we have Resolution 2021-13, ordering the asphalt resurfacing of various roads in Auburn Township. Okay, 2021-13. All right. I'll read this, whereas the Auburn Township Board of Trustees, Geauga County, is determined by unanimous vote in resolution number 2020-38 that public convenience and welfare require the improvement of Bartholomew Road from Munn Road to Thorpe Road and Leland Trail in Auburn Township, and authorize Geauga County engineer to prepare engineering plans in accordance with section 5573.01 of the Ohio Revised Code. And whereas the Geauga County engineer has completed the specifications and estimates for the improvements and has filed the specifications with the board, and whereas the Auburn Board of Trustees has reviewed the specifications and estimates and finds them acceptable, and whereas the cost of such improvements will not be excessive in view of the public utility thereof, whereas the Auburn Board of Trustees is satisfied that the public convenience and welfare require the proposed improvement. Now therefore be it resolved that the Auburn Township Board of Trustees, in accordance with section 557306 of the Ohio Revised Code, hereby orders that such improvements proceed. Be it further resolved that the Auburn Township Board of Trustees hereby adopts the specification and estimates for such improvements, the cost of which will be paid from local funding sources in accordance with section 557307 of the Ohio Revised Code. And be it further resolved that the fiscal officer of Auburn Township Trustees is hereby ordered to let the project for the bid in accordance with section 557502 of the revised code. The bid shall be let upon a unit price basis. Bid shall be received by Frederick L. May, fiscal officer, until 12 p.m. local time on April 23rd, 2021. Bids will be publicly opened and read aloud at 12:05 the same day. Be it further resolved that the fiscal officer of Auburn Township Board of Trustees is hereby instructed to transmit a certified copy of this resolution to the Geauga County engineer. That is the motion.
Motion to adopt, I'll second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Would I be able to get you guys to sign a copy while you're here so that you can get it out to advertise this week?
Absolutely.
There is a resolution. That's Rachel from the.
That's Rachel. It is. That's Rachel Formica. Nobody recognizes
I
anybody.
didn't,
with names.
I didn't recognize her either.
I know how horrible this, yeah.
I made a guess, and I was right.
So you're getting all your own copies, we don't have to send you any?
Correct.
Perfect, thank you.
Should be another one.
And then I've got the one for staff.
Pretty soon they won't need me at
Yeah,
all.
we're gonna, it's on the agenda, it's next.
Yeah, do this.
Okay, so we got that.
This is probably ours. Maybe we go back with them.
I'll see.
I don't know, I'm just gonna sign stuff.
This
Give
is
it to you,
very-
sign it,
this
she
is
put it out
very
there, she can take whatever she
Well,
wants.
she said
This is very strange.
Let's do a nice job.
You wanna give me 2014 to read?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Pass this down to Rachel here so she can get that sorted.
okay, and this is resolution.
That's various roads. That goes with it. That should be various
This
roads.
is 20, well, this is, they're both 2038, Fred.
She needs that spec book.
This is 2039.
Yeah, did you bring them for Stafford Road and the?
Yes,
Mhm.
here too.
Yeah, so, Mike, you're just getting confused, you just signed them all? Those are
Well,
Rachel's?
no, this is various roads. This goes with, I think, the other two you have right there. And then I haven't seen
Okay.
anything for Stafford yet.
Oh, okay.
This is various roads.
Nothing like making it confusing.
Triple check these when you go.
Usually they'll accuse me of taking them all home with me.
We got,
so-
we got this. Okay, so what's that, what's that?
We're gonna open here, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now, what I'm looking for, Fred,
Is the resolution for 14?
for 14.
They just gave that
Since I bored people with reading the first one, I'm gonna bore them with reading the second. Okay.
Resolution.
Basically all the stuff I said about the other one, except this is for Stafford Road. So I'll make a motion to,
And that stands alone because we got issue 2 funding on it, or issue, whatever it is now, I can't remember. But
Issue 1.
OPWC funding,
okay,
so that's yours too.
This one.
need a second?
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
did you get anything on reconstruction yet?
No, those are sitting there.
They killed a lot of trees.
Can you guys do this for me, please?
What do you need on it?
The date.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
And with regard to the Stafford Road project, I have some good news. I reevaluated the estimate and it's at about 975,000 versus the 1 million that I told you guys a few days ago.
Keep going. Go in the right direction.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
Okay, last order of business here, we have a hearing request from the Department of Liquor Control for the Auburn Arts District.
You know, we used to, Mike, and I think you did some of this, we used to just make a cursory check with the sheriff's department. I don't know if we've ever had requested a hearing. I don't remember ever having.
Well,
But
We
we
haven't
always,
had any problems down there.
yeah, that's what I mean. Well, we always
the only
did.
time we did is if there was a bar and they were asking to renew their license, and then we called the sheriff.
I guess that's right.
Since they don't have anything to drink down there, they're not rowdy yet, so
There
we have to
couldn't be
wait
any
until the
back-
next
there
year
couldn't
to
be any background.
tell them they can't do it. And all those guys drinking
Yeah.
wine wearing berets, they're not gonna cause too much trouble.
Mike, you don't wear your beret there.
No, you go ahead and wear a beret.
Well, I bring it to the front, it's a beanie.
What type
Gentlemen,
of
question,
permit is
what
it?
is the Auburn
It's a C
Arts
permit.
District?
What?
C,
And why haven't
which
I
is
heard
for
that term
carryout.
Oh, well, it's owned by an Auburn resident, and it's the old Reinhofer building.
It's my
I'm sorry?
understanding,
Right
I
off
don't know
the
for a
building.
fact, but it's my understanding that's all
Okay,
that's
so
left.
Auburn
in
Arts
Auburn.
District is a private entity,
so that's-
is that correct?
It's
Oh, yeah.
like, take
Yeah.
that or nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I have a real issue with it, but,
We're gonna have our own Hessler Street up there.
you can't drink it there.
Right.
It's only for carryout, right? Both the last one too, it's only for carryout. We're gonna have a problem with that one, I'm gonna guarantee you we're gonna have a problem with the last one. It won't be long.
Well, but that's enforcement, Frank, and we
Yeah, I know.
don't do that. I mean, I don't think we,
Well, we can't do anything.
well,
for
you can
something
assume we're gonna have a problem there.
else. Yeah,
I see
there's
where your
no doubt in my
assumption
mind we're gonna
comes
have a problem.
from, but
I mean,
We gotta give them a chance to have a problem so we can do something about it.
yeah, that's true. If they ever do what they're,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we'll see next week.
Okay, so, make a motion that we don't require a hearing?
Second.
John,
Yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes. Well, Frank wants a hearing, but he doesn't get to vote.
Well, no, the thing is, Frank, if
No, I don't want to hear it.
he could change this license for on-site, couldn't he?
Who?
If the owner of the arts district, yes.
I don't know if you can or not, because from what I've been told, there are no
see,
licenses available to sell and drink on site. Carry out means carry out. You go, you buy it, you carry it out
Carry it
into
out.
the premises. But that's not what's gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you next door. Now, the question is, which one of the three entities in the building is gonna sell it versus what the other two entities in the building are doing.
me and Frank, I can't go and buy it at the store and then go around back to a supposedly different entity and drink it there?
You might be able to, because you purchased it, but you can't sell it, you can't give it to someone else, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
From what I've been told now. But I've also been told there's a way around getting around this liquor license totally by claiming a nightclub. So I don't know.
By claiming the what?
By claiming a nightclub, it's a completely different animal. The Liquor Control Board doesn't have a whole lot to do with it. It's completely different.
Well, who regulates that?
I don't know yet. I'm investigating that at the moment. But there are no, from what I understand, there are no licenses available like for a bar, like for the patio or Auburn Inn. There are no for Auburn. There may not be in all of Geauga County, but there certainly isn't any available for Auburn.
But that's between the proprietor and the liquor control.
Mm-hmm.
This is just our opportunity to jump in there,
Right,
at which we just declined.
right.
So it's back
Well, I
where it
don't
should be
think-
between him and
Right.
and
I don't think we
Columbus.
can do anything in this particular case at all. Either case for that matter until something happens. The sheriff.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
at this
probably
stage of the
true.
thing, all we can do is say we want a hearing.
Right,
Then we'll bring you up to testify, and then we'll give it to them anyway.
probably.
So don't waste our time, Frank. All right. Any public comment?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 3 very interesting warrants. They all seem like big money to me. I could be wrong. Okay, so there's a 6311 for a CCM rental for 11,900 plus. And 60.
That was for the purchase of the cement saw that they discussed.
Okay. And 6316 Cummins Bridgeway, 2682.
Yeah, that was for repairs made to the generator at the service garage.
Okay, and then the cheapie of the bunch, 62.99 to Quadient for a mere 162 and 86 cents change.
Oh, okay, that was on the last payment listing.
Yeah,
That was for postage.
okay. What is Quadient?
That's the name of the company that we lease our postage machine from and buy
Okay.
postage through.
Peter, thank you.
They bought out Neopost.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? All right, we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second,
Third.
third,
John,
yes.
PJ,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
what time you got?
I got
Chief.
8:12.
8:12 what I got.
Dave, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Dave.
See you next.
Shows.
See you before.